Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back. Quick announcement before I get on with the videos. I'm on holiday now for the next 2 weeks, so although I've got the videos coming out, there won't be any streams this week. So all the decks I'm going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks are going to be ones I've put together on the stream and played, or they're going to be things that people have suggested to me. So apologies, I'm recording this a long way in advance because I have a lot of videos to do. And if there's any new sets that are coming out, well, you just have to wait till I'm back from holiday. If there is anything coming out that gets spoiled, I will try and sneak in a couple of the videos. As I record this video at the moment, Final Fantasy has just come out, and so we've got the Spider-Man set to come out as well, and a few of the other things, but we'll have to see what happens. If we get anything spoiled, you might see a couple of those videos over the next couple of weeks. But for now, I'm just going to start with this to start off with. I played this deck. I was asked to build a specific commander, and this is one of the games that had happened with this commander recently on the stream. I ended up with a whole load of creatures in play, and their power was over 1 million each. As you can see here, I was attacking with 8 creatures, and I dealt something in the region of 9.5 million damage in one attack step. No one dropped out of it. All 3 players stayed in and just took the beats down. But yeah, I was asked to build a specific commander by one of my moderators, so I figured I'll kick off my holiday week, so a bit of reminiscence for those people watching it who are one of my mods on my stream, and talk about this commander. Tyvar the Pummler. 1 and double green for a 3/3 elf warrior. You can tap another creature we control to give Tyvar indestructible until the end of the turn and tap it. But then the thing that created all that massive amount of power was me going 3 green green and giving all my creatures +X until the end of turn, where X was the greatest power amongst creatures I controlled. Yeah. The reason I managed to get up so high is I had a lot of things that doubled the mana value of my lands in play, and it just went off quite significantly on the turn I had. Admittedly, everyone had Forest Walk, but we'll get to that. And we had a way of making everyone have a forest, so yeah, you can probably work out 2 of the cards. But oh, it was fun to play this card. So here we go. Here's the deck, and this is what it looks like. Now, I will just point out before we go any further with this deck, you're probably wondering, oh god, something that does 1 million power is probably bracket 4, maybe 5. Just so we're clear on this, as I record this video, Boxfield is telling me that my version of Tyvar the Pummeler is bracket 2. It's a core deck. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Right then. So, just bear that in mind as we're going through this. So, the first card in the deck to talk about the invasion of Zendikar, Chandelier, comes into play, put it under someone's control, and you get to put 3 target permanent cards from your graveyard into your hand. And then once you manage to finish the battle off and deal the full damage to it, you get the Leyline Surge. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Didn't have to do this, just need to bring the things back from my graveyard. But it's a nice little flip round if we can get it there. 1 Planeswalker in the deck, which is one of the reasons I got such a ridiculously high power and toughness on each of my creature, was Nissa Ascendant Amonist. The -7 with all the forests I had in control gave everyone a +12/+12 to start with. But, you know, it has its abilities, you know, have the Phyrexian Horror creature token, and then have the -1 to destroy target artifact or enchantment helps out. But yeah, we got this into play by paying 7 mana, so we started at the whole 7 loyalty bit and basically just went -7 straight off the bat. So it worked really well. Creatures, we got 35 in the deck, and there's a fair few things you'd expect in such a elf kind of commander deck. So Elorius Shepherd, stop everything being countered. Arbor Elf is in to help us untap the land. Then Ramp with Birds of Paradise. Elvish Lyricist, because I was a bit worried about some of the enchantments that could be played against me, so this was here to take them out. Elvish Mystic for the ramp. Then Goldvein Hydra. Lovely thing. Don't forget that Tyvar says creatures you control, not elves, so this does work on everything. And this pumped up to quite high power value to start with, so you know, it was quite good. Landwar Elves is next for some more ramp, and then Cankerbloom to help us take out artifacts and enchantments that are annoying us, and it'll push Proliferate if we need it to happen, especially with Nissa Ascendant Animist in play. Fauna Shaman is the only search card in the deck, just so we can discard a creature card and go and find the one we want. Gear Sage for the mana ramp. Priest of Titania, because of all the elves in play, might also have this here to get even more green mana on the go. Circle of Dreams Druid is also in, another elf that taps for each creature we control and gives us green mana, which in a mono green deck is always helpful. The Elvish Archdruid is also in. Pump our elves up, add more mana for the elves. And the card that basically won me the game was the Elvish Champion, because it gave a whole load of my elves Forest Walk, which no one could really deal with. Enduring Vitality is in, just to help us get that mana on the go, and we can tap our creatures in a push. Azuri, the Renegade Leader, does pump our elves up a little bit, gives them trample, which helps and regenerates our other elves, but it can be taken out if you don't want it in the deck. Imperious Perfect is nice, another way of pumping our elves up and giving us some more elf warrior tokens, which is lovely with the Elvish Champion in play, but I'm talking to the converters, so you all know what these do, I hope. Mossborn Hydra made an appearance as well, because it comes with trample, +1/+1 counters, doubling up our +1/+1 counters as we play lands. That really does help us when we're starting to do the whole 5 mana, do the +X/+X thing, because you can lay a couple of lands, especially with Nissa coming into play as well, to go and find that forest and put it in your hand. Or when you flipper into the Sage Animist, having the top card revealed as a land and putting it to the battlefield is really helpful with that card in play. Savala, Heart of the Wilds, is also in. Again, another way of getting more mana and eventually giving us some card draw when we get the greatest power creatures in play. Warden of the Grove comes in from Tarkir Dragonstorm. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it really does help us with the enduring bit, so that's pretty good. Wood Elves for the more going and finding more forests. Beast Whisperer, just so we can draw more cards, so we cast all our creature spells. And the other card that really did help me win that game I showed at the start was Brawn. Giving all my creatures trample, because this was in the graveyard, was just phenomenal, so that stayed here. Because we're playing all the elves, it made sense to me to have Dionysus in the deck as well, just to pump them up a little bit and get them untapping, so we get even more mana off some of the cards, like Elvish Archdruid, Circle of Dreams, Priest of Titania. Doomscar Warrior is fun, with the backup 1 and the trample. We get to go and reveal a creature or land card from among them, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom of our library, helps us filter through our deck when we can. And Kona, the Rescue Beastie. Didn't see this in the game, but if this is in the beginning of our second phase of this attack, we get to put a permanent card from my hand onto the battlefield. Quite a nice little tricky thing. Nissa, World Soul Speaker, did have a big part to play in the deck, I'll be honest about it. The energy, paying the 8 energy instead of paying the mana cost, really did help me out a couple of times. As did Yeva, Nature's Herald. She'd been killed off by the time that screenshot I showed you earlier had come into play, but she did let me cast some of my creatures at instant speed when I needed them in play, and I was trying to avoid the end of the player's turn before mine. I was trying to avoid things like Damnation, Wrath of God, Farewell. This really did help me out and get my creatures into play. Sinian of Calamity is just fun, because when it does a myriad thing, it gets to destroy target artifacts or enchantments, and that was here. Conclave Siege Captain, fantastic. Love the trample. This gives everything trample in the backup and all the rest of it, so we're not going to complain for one turn. Hollow Henge Overlord is one you don't see that often, but this does come into play. This had flash. It gave us an extra couple of wolf tokens in the early game before we got to the point you saw. Likewise, Wolverine Riders is even better. Giving us that elf up at the beginning of each upkeep is just fantastic. And if you stack your triggers right for some of the cards I've got coming up, it also means you gain 3 life a turn if you've got the cards in play. Nyxbloom Ancient is one of the main reasons I was able to make everything so ridiculously big, because I had so many forests in play that I could just untap them, tap them, add a whole load of mana, and then just activate Tyvar so many times. And when I built the decks, I built it while I was streaming. I just like playing Apex Devastator, so this hit in, and caused nightmares for a lot of people. The sorceries I put in, I kept it simple. 3 visits, Cultivate, Ranger's Path, Skyshroud Claim. Become the Avalanche is one of the new cards that came from the Tarkir Dragonstorm Commander decks. Draw a card for each creature you control, power 4 greater. And then creatures you control get +X/+X till the end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. I cast this. I had 4 cards in my hand, so everything started with +4/+4. Then we started doing the whole doubling, doing the +X/+X on Tyvar, which just made it silly quickly. Because one of the cards that also helped out was Savala's Stampede. Recommend you pick this up. This is just fun. People never know how to vote on it, and you do get stuff into play. We just had 1 instant in the deck, which was Harrow, to help us with that extra landfall triggers. And then we had Ramp with Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone. The Herd Heirloom was also in, just to help us out and cast some of the creatures. Patchwork Banner, we were choosing elves for this, just so we're aware, just to add 1 mana of any colour. And then the Nyx Lotus was the other big thing I had in play. I had at one stage tapping this for 23 mana because of the amount of devotion to green I had, so it was great. Likewise, the Throne of Eldraine is very hard to pick one of these up in paper. MTGO is fairly straightforward, but in paper it's difficult to get one, but they are worth having if you're playing a mono deck, believe me. This goes in every single mono-coloured deck I play nowadays. Enchantments, we had Burgeoning for the extra land drops, Utopia Sprawl to add even more mana, Sylvan Anthem just to pump all our creatures up and give them the scry effect because all our creatures are green, so we're always getting the scry when they came in. Communal Brewing is just fun. Now, this did get stolen from me, and I didn't really benefit from it, but you know the benefits that you can have on it if people draw cards with the counters on it, and when you cast your creatures, they come in with the additional +1/+1 counters on it if people drew the cards when you cast it. The Court of Garenbrig is really nice just to chuck around the +1/+1 counters. Then if we're Monarch, we get to double them on each creature we control. Gaia's Anthem just to pump up our creatures even more. The Growing Rights for the extra mana. When it flips, as you know, it turns into the Cradle of the Sun, and that just makes it very silly with some of the cards. From there, Sylvan Scavenging. Chuck around the +1/+1 counters. It was very unusual. We didn't have a 4-power or greater creature in play by the stage this came out, so it was making raccoons for me. And Tribute to the World Tree was the one I was talking about earlier. With the elf generated at the beginning of each player's upkeep, if you stack them in the right way, you put this on the stack. You put the elf generation. The trigger for the life gain goes on the stack first, then the Tribute to the World Tree goes on the stack. So the token comes in with 2 +1/+1 counters, so it's power. It comes in as power 3, then looks at it and goes, okay, it's power 3, you gain 3 life. So, you know, reverse lightning bolt every turn. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Elven Chorus made an appearance in the deck. Again, just so we could cast our creature spells from top of our library. Guardian Project's a no-brainer in any mono-green deck or any green deck entirely, to be fair, just so we can get the card draw on the go. Nature's Will had some fun with this. We had a couple of turns where we needed to deal the damage, which we did with a slightly pumped Birds of Paradise of all things, so we could get all our lands untapped, and then we just went off from there. Death's Presence, although it's in the deck, didn't really see much help. This could probably be replaced with Heroic Intervention if you wanted to. But at the end of the day, we do get some +1/+1 counters, so we might as well have this out there just to chuck them around. Especially if we've done the whole wonderfulness with the Call to Garenbrig or the Tribute to the World Tree. So, yeah, it's there. And then March of the World Ooze. Now, it does make some of our creatures smaller. I'm aware of that, but it makes a hell of a lot more of our creatures bigger. So, yeah, it's worthwhile having. The greenhouse is here just to make sure we can just unlock our thing and return 2 permanents for the Rickety Gazebo. The greenhouse side of it's not that effective since we're in a mono deck, but the Rickety Gazebo does help. And the other card that gave me a stupid amount of mana was the Virtuous Strength, because this is just stupid when it happens. And you've got this, and you've got Nyx Bloom Ancient in play. Basically, each land you tap comes out, well, each basic land you come up then taps for 9. Makes picking up Tyvar quite happily, thank you very much. The lands were really simple in this deck. I had 30 forests, 1 Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and the card that also helped me win the game was the Yavimaya Cradle of Growth by turning all my opponent's lands into forests, so I could just forest walk through with the elves that I've then pumped up with Tyvar. And that's it. That's how I've built Tyvar. It was fantastic. Somewhere on Twitch, there should still be a stream replay. It was the stream on Sunday the 8th of June, so feel free to go back and have a look at the VOD. That won't be, unless Twitch have taken it down, it's still going to be sitting there and you can find it there. But yeah, Tyvar's just fun, so enjoy this one. I'll be back, like I say, for the rest of the week. I'm on holiday, so no streams this week, but please hit the subscribe button if you can. Leave me a comment. I will still read them while I'm on holiday and respond to them. But I'll be back tomorrow with some more of the decks that I've been looking at for the last few weeks while I've been building up these for holiday. But for now, take care. See you soon. Bye.